Okay, today we're going to turn this basic blouse into a full button-up blouse. I've provided specs for you and a step-by-step of what we will add to this assignment. All right. The first thing that you all will need to do is make sure that you've downloaded the FIT size 8 avatar, and be sure that you have imported it into your vStitcher properly. If you already have your permission file, you should have no trouble using this. Okay, so your basic blouse right now should just look like that, a basic blouse. You will notice your center front is stitched together right now. We will end up adding a placket and overlapping it. You also notice that you have a forward shoulder on your block, so I've added these guidelines here to show you where the high point shoulder is for when we are measuring our garment. All right, the first thing we're going to do is rotate the dart. So the dart is already a 3D object, a 3D editable dart. We can see that by the blue diamonds that are at the end and the white circle that is in the center and the dotted lines to show us the center of the dart. If we did not have a 3D dart in here already, it would look like this, just a cutout dart. We can always easily turn these darts into 3D editable darts so that we can manipulate them. We do this by making sure that first the dart is surrounded by 3 corner points and we have 2 segments that make up the dart legs. If we select both, we'll get an option in our line menu that says convert to dart, and this will turn it into a 3D dart. Your darts are already 3D, but for the future, if you need to know how to make your dart editable and able to be manipulated, that is how you do it. So we are going to make sure that we're in select, make sure that we have internal components turned on, and make sure that we're in edit points. When we select our dart, if we are in all of those things, we will get the rotate dart option. When we choose rotate dart, we will get some prompts at the bottom of the screen that says select a target location. So this is where I want my new dart to go. I didn't give you a specific location, so we're going to choose a position a few inches down from the bottom of the armhole. And the next prompt says select the section you want to rotate. So our only options are the body or this little segment here. If we choose the body, we're going to end up rotating the body away from its grain line. So I would rather rotate this section right here. Okay. Once I've selected it, it will turn green and I will get a gizmo at my dart apex. I'm going to select the little black dot on my gizmo and I'm going to rotate this little segment. You notice I can rotate as much or as little as I want in the dart. So if you wanted to distribute your dart, this is how you would do it as well. But if you want to rotate the whole thing, you're just going to close it until it snaps shut here, which you see with the yellow crosshairs. And you'll see your new dart opening at your side seam. So I'm going to choose done. And I will hit dress so I can see my new dart that is now in my side seam instead of in my armhole. Okay. If we're happy with the location and the dart length and everything else, we can also go ahead and say implement. Implement allows us to just turn this into a cutout dart. You will notice when you're in, once you've implemented, that it will go ahead and add your stitch line, so you don't have to go back and restitch your dart. The only thing I want to do to clean up is just remove this corner point that it left where my old dart was and make sure that's a smooth point so I have a nice smooth armhole shape. Okay. I'm eventually going to need this bust line to be 1 inch below my armhole, so I'm actually going to go ahead and move this up till it snaps to just about the armhole position. Okay. My armhole over here is an inch below. So I'm going to just select this now that it's at my armhole and use the Y transformation to just move it down an inch. It's already snapped to the edge, so I don't need to do anything else with that. I could always draw a new bust line, but you'll notice that I left you some rulers already in this file, and the bust is one of them using those already existing lines. So if I just move that line, I don't have to redo that ruler later. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is lengthen my center front and center back to make my shirt tail hem. In the spec, I gave you a front, back, and side length. The side length is correct, but if you want to create a ruler or double check it yourself, what I would suggest is using this guideline as your high point shoulder line. Okay, turn on snap to guideline and snap to point, and then I would just snap your center back up against the yoke, and you can use the fast measure tool, which is an insert, fast measure, and snap from your side seam point on your back. Hold shift to go straight until you snap to the high point shoulder line. So mine's about 22 and 3/4. I'm gonna just let it be for now, and when I fill out my spec sheet, I can enter 22 and 3/4, and then if we want to adjust it later, we can. All right, so to move my center front and center back points, I am going to turn internals off so that it's easy for me to grab the points on the perimeter of the line and not accidentally grab the endpoints of my internal lines. I'm going to turn multi-move on. Multi-move lets me move points in a smooth way, blending to the next thumbtack that I have. So in class, we did the math to figure out what our center front and center back lengths currently measure and how much we need to adjust to get to the target specs that I gave you. And the numbers we came up with were 2 3/4 at the front and 2 7/8 at the back. Now, when I do my front, I need to make sure that I've pinned this center front neck point, otherwise the neck point will move with my hem, which I do not want. So I'm going to grab this point. In the Y value, I'm going to enter 2.75. And on my center back, I'm going to do the same. And in the Y value, I'm going to enter 2.875. And then I'm going to use these handles. So when I put my side seams together, I want to have 180 degrees here, at least for a little bit. So I'm going to grab this handle and hold shift to make it completely horizontal. I'm going to do the same on my back. And then I'm just going to make a nice smooth shape. I want my shirt tail to be a little bit flatter in center front and center back and take a little while before it curves to the side. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, center front placket. So my placket on the spec sheet, I listed it as 1 1/8 inches. Okay, so this is currently my center front. I need to extend my center front half of my placket width and then create internal lines. So I'm going to grab this center front point here, a center front line here, and I'm going to move it in the X direction. I can either enter 0.5625, which is half of 1/8, or I can enter 1.125 divided by 2 if you don't have a calculator with you. Okay. Once I am there, I am going to clone edges by offset, and I'm going to enter minus 0.5625. I'm going to make 2 copies and extend to edges. Okay, so now I have a new internal line where my center front line used to be, and then I have another line inside which I will sew my. Okay, so before I extract my placket, I need to fix my neck shape. So I'm actually going to take this neckline and I'm going to clone edges by offset. The point of this is just to get a new internal line that is the shape of my front neck. Okay, so the distance that you offset it doesn't matter. I wouldn't do a large amount or it'll distort your shape. I did 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to pull this out here and I'm going to flip it around the y-axis. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this over here and hopefully I'm going to line this up until this neck meets at center front, okay? I'm looking for the end of the line to intersect with this line here at my center front, and for this line to intersect at my center front neck intersection, okay? I am then going to adjust this shape, but first I need to make sure that I have a point on my neckline where my center front intersects. So I'm going to click this point at the end of my internal line and I'm going to say add point to edge. I'm going to turn internals off and make sure that I have a pinpoint here. And then I'm going to select this point and turn slide on. Slide will just make sure that I don't get off of this vertical line here. Okay, so I can slide this up until it reaches that internal line. And then I can use these handles to just make sure that I'm following this existing neck shape. And then I can turn internals on and delete this extra point here. Okay, so this is just going to make sure that when I overlap my center fronts, I have the same shape on either side. I am going to make this a smooth point. Just to make sure that I don't come up with a sort of V'd shape there, okay? All right, now that I have the shape correct, I'm going to insert and I'm going to go to extract, and I'm going to use these sections to make my placket, okay? So I'm going to click all of them, okay? If for some reason your computer is not letting you select one, you can try a few things. If you zoom in a little bit closer, sometimes it does a better job selecting smaller elements. If it's giving you like a circle with an X through it, I would just try to get out of the function, maybe save your file, try to come back into it. You can also try the other side. And then worst case scenario, if you can at least get one of these sides, you can then mirror it. Okay, once I have these all selected, I'm just going to click again so that it separates that piece entirely. Okay, I'm going to move this piece out of the way. I'm going to remove these any corner points that it added when it separated from the piece. You don't have to, but these internal lines are unnecessary, so you can delete those. Okay, and then I'm just going to make this a symmetrical piece so that I have two plackets. Okay, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew this placket directly on top of this side and sew this placket directly on top of this side. So I'm going to go to stitch mode and I'm going to stitch the inner side of my placket to the internal line, the outer side of my placket to the edge of the piece, and I'm going to flip that. Okay, I'm going to sew the top of my placket to the neckline and I'm going to match it and slide it. And it needs flipping. I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom of the placket to the bottom of my hem, flip and match and slide. Okay. Lastly, I just need to make sure right now I still have a stitch that is stitching my center front to my center front from the block. I need to delete that so that the plackets will overlap each other. In terms of layers, for women's shirts, we're going to be right over wearer's right, which is over here, over wearer's left. So that means the wearer's left bodice needs to be on the lowest layer. So I'm going to put it on layer 0. Then the wearer's left placket needs to be on the next layer up. The wearer's right bodice needs to be on the next layer up, and the wearer's right placket needs to be on the highest layer. Okay, so you're stacking bodice, placket, bodice, placket. Okay, you can go to arrange mode, make sure these plackets are in your body here, and stitch it. There's